Hello and welcome back to the Limitless Podcast. I am so excited to be with you guys today. I have an amazing guest that I actually connected with on LinkedIn. If you are listening to this on Apple or Spotify and you don't have access to video, I would highly recommend that you pop over to my YouTube and take a peek at this because Dasha Dere is going to share some amazing photos that she's going to share more about, but really tell a lot about what she does. She is such a fascinating woman. And I wanted to share her with you because what she does is very different. And it has combined her past with her present, and she's made something so beautiful. Now, do I have you intrigued? So let me tell you a little bit about Dasha. She is a self-perception and consciousness expansion coach, which sounds amazing. I'm intrigued for sure. But she has a background in photography and brain science. She is the author of her own method called the Dare Method, and she's going to share that with us today. Welcome, Dasha. I'm so glad to
Thank
have
you.
you on this podcast and excited for everyone to meet you. I would love for you to just share a little bit about you. Where are you? Where are you uh,
Yeah. First of all, thank
podcasting?
you. Thank you for
Yeah.
the introduction. I was sitting here and thinking, wow, that sounds pretty good.
I'm excited to work with myself.
Whoever that person is, I don't know. I think ultimately that's every coach's desire for their clients to feel that way, right? Whenever people are talking about you or introducing you, you want to feel good about yourself. And
Yeah.
so thank you for the invitation and for this opportunity.
Yeah.
Um, to share my work and my passion and my interest and curiosity about the phenomenon of self-perception, really. So where do I begin? So originally, I grew up in Russia, and I moved to the States about 18 years ago, and I've lived in New York City for most of that time. I do have a background in photography, so I worked as a professional photographer for the last probably 10 years. Um, and so from that passion for seeing the greatness and the beauty in the other, their method was born. I feel like I've been doing this work for unconsciously for much longer than I've been doing it consciously, as it often happens. But so um, in portrait photography, I think what always excited me um, was the opportunity to capture something unseen about the other person. Similarly to what we do in coaching, here is the greatness that I see in you. Let me reflect it back to you. Let me show it to you. Except in photography, you have the benefit, the added benefit of having a tangible picture that you actually can show to the other person. And so over time, as I've been working as a photographer, I've been wondering why is it so that people don't see themselves as this, divine beings, that beautiful women, men, like the beautiful humans. Why don't we see that greatness right in our reflection? And so during pandemic, it happened so that I found myself enrolled in a coaching program. um, I don't believe in accidents, so definitely that was aligned, but I had no idea what I was signing up for. And so once I started doing coaching or learning about coaching, I realized very quickly, so wait a second, this is exactly what I've been doing. Only with one caveat, I didn't know that this is what it's called, coaching.
It's called coaching.
Yeah. So like, wow, actually, you can learn how to sit with the other person, how to hold the space, how to see them, how to listen, how to be present, how to share this transformational presence with the other, how to reflect it back. And so suddenly, all the pieces of puzzles started falling one into another, and I realized that there is no reason for me to not bring my camera into my coaching practice.
Oh, awesome.
And, uh, and so I'm a big fan of experiments of all kinds, and most of my work was very experimental. So I love art projects. I love being curious. I love inviting people into my crazy ideas and, post something on like come up at night, come up with an idea for some sort of an experiment. Same day, post something on social media. Hey, I need volunteers. Come to the studio. Let's like take pictures and I'll walk you through the process. And, to to my to my surprise, people are generally very eager to participate in all kinds of art projects. So that's how I started from self-image project. I've been inviting volunteers to take pictures before and after our coaching session,
Wow.
one-on-one in person. Those pictures are actually, and the descriptions of all of my art projects are published on dashadere.com. So if any of the listeners are interested, more than welcome to step by and check them out and read about the whole philosophy and the idea behind the projects. But yeah, and so I've been very fascinated with what we see, what we don't see, what material reality looks like based on how we feel, what we feel about ourselves, how our self-image and self-perception is reflected in what we experience on the material plane. And basically, I realized that the work that I do in coaching has to do with helping a person to expand their self-perception of how do I see myself? Because there is no point for me to work on your material actions, and unless we work on how do you see yourself, how do you actually relate to yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I see you agreeing with that, right?
Yeah, so we talked about this prior to the recording is that's what we're taught, right? If we want more money, we do more action. If we want better health, we do more working out.
Mm-hmm.
But what we discussed is the truth is you can only do so much from the place of what you believe about yourself.
Yeah.
And that's why so many people are frustrated and self-sabotage because if your belief system doesn't match the action,
Mm-hmm.
you're not going to get the results. So I love that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so and the belief system belongs to a particular avatar, a particular expression of you in this world. And um, if you remain in one single embodiment, meaning if you don't change who you are, then every incremental shift in your physical reality will be dependent on the action that you take. So one step at a time, it's a cause and effect relationship with your physical material world. So and it's not to say that you won't get what you want. You most likely will because there's the whole culture of grit and perseverance and mental toughness, and we definitely can do that. At what cost, though? Um, but what we've been learning, I think, collectively at this point is that if you want faster shifts and like faster kind of improvements, um, then a more efficient and effective way would be to change what you embody, like change who you are being, so that your actions basically unfold naturally, organically, in resonance to that what you embody, like who you are as what kind of sets of beliefs you hold, what kind of views. And the way I look at it, how you see yourself, that's what you see reflected. And so
right.
I guess the centerpiece of my work is that how do you like how can I help you see yourself? How can you start developing awareness and have more control over your attention so that you are able to shift in the moments of times, especially when you're old patterns show up, especially when the fallback into habitual way of being happens. How can I help you shift? And so to do that, I use pictures in my sessions because it's actually not a new um, discovery or not new knowledge that um, evolution of well, we can say it, evolution of consciousness happens when when you stop being a subject to your own drama of experience. And when you can turn it into an object and separate yourself from what you're going through and look at it from the outside, like an observer, then you're able to expand like it's like going from a map to a bigger territory. And I really love the work of Bob Keegan on the I think it's called the evolving self or the evolution of self. One of his like most famous, I think, works on. He's a developmental psychologist, where he looked at the development of a human from like very early ages all the way into the adulthood and how those shifts in perception happen. And one of the ways to turn your experience into an object is to take a picture of you and look at yourself. Whom am I? Whom am I being in this moment? Let me pause here and take a basically a selfie of myself
Interesting.
and reflect. And actually, I found it very helpful, and I've been for myself because I obviously like more. I don't know how obvious, but for me, it's obvious that I practice everything that I preach. So, um, I constantly work on developing a habit of taking pictures of myself at the most confusing times, at the most uncomfortable times, at the most times of like struggle, dark night of the soul, like some depressive moods, because we're all humans here. Everyone has their own ups and downs, but I think my bigger philosophy is that the selfie culture that we're experiencing right now, that when the internet and the cell phones and the social media all started, everyone got so obsessed with the image of themselves um, and the use of images as a point of comparison or developing uh, imposter syndrome, things like that. I actually believe that that selfie can uh, its role can be flipped into to see a very positive dynamic where it's actually can be helpful to us
Mm-hmm.
to use the images to expand what we are, not to make our view of ourselves smaller. Oh, I'm not this, I'm not that, but actually, oh, I'm this and that and that and that and that, and everything is me. And that
If you
was
flip the switch, right? Because I mean, the selfie world today,
Mhm,
you take a selfie and you don't like it, so you take it 10 more times
mhm,
because we are programmed to see the flaws,
mhm,
right? But I love like making that switch. It's so interesting that you say that you take pictures of yourself during, the times where you're not feeling your best. And
mhm,
it's interesting because I thought, okay, I wonder what a selfie would say about myself right now. Because
mhm,
we talked about this. We are going through this move, and I've been very much my nervous system has been
mhm,
pretty steady, but we're in the final days and things are a little crazy. And when we got on this call right
mhm.
from the beginning, she said, "How are you?" And I thought, what is she seeing that I am not seeing? So it would be interesting to, just like you said, to take a picture of yourself. Um, because at this moment, probably I have a little twinge of stress,
Mhm,
showing
mhm.
um, within my facial features, and that'd be interesting to see what that looks like for on yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I maybe it was a year ago I had this another several experiments around selfie taking. I had like this small virtual groups. Um, where self-image sprints, they were called. So for 7 days, we would take selfies of ourselves every morning, regardless of like what you feel, how you look, etc. It was a short meditation exercise, and then we would take selfies. All remote. You don't share your pictures with anyone. It's all basically for you. And I was curious to see um, what will change in my perception or my relationship to the image of me by the end of 7 days. Because obviously, the first thing that you hear in your ears when you're looking at the image of yourself, oh, how bad, how the angle is wrong, the wrinkles, the hair, the darkness, but actually, if you stay, because the usual reactive mode is like, oh, I'll take another picture,
Right.
or I kind of, I forget about it, or I put the phone away and I'll pretend that it doesn't matter and I don't care. But actually stay with this,
Mm-hmm.
because chances are you might, it's like a meditation, you stay with all kinds of thoughts until they pass.
Right.
And then ask yourself, what else do I see? What else is there? So now I went through my list. I checked all the boxes of, okay, I don't like my wrinkles. I don't like my skin. I don't like my whatever t-shirt I'm wearing. I could have done better. I look so exhausted. Okay, good. You kind of like go into this conversation with your mind, and you let it, unroll everything that it needs to unroll. But then who is this that I'm looking at, and who am I being as I'm looking at? And there's such a greater depth that can be discovered, and we unfortunately don't let ourselves go to that greater depth, which is available to every single one of us. And so that's why the practice of just taking pictures of yourself,
Mm-hmm.
not for the sake of sharing or anything, just it's also about your respect to your own nature, and the curiosity about what else. I think that's kind of, if you think that you have this kind of mindset, the growth mindset, then it's only natural that you'll be digging deeper and wondering more
Mm-hmm.
about what else, because I'm unlimited. And if you believe that you're unlimited, then there's so much you can see. It's quite mind-blowing, to be honest.
I love that. I love that so much. I love what you said though. Um, you wanted to see the relationship that you have to the perception of yourself. Is that how you said it? The relationship I have to the perception of myself.
Mhm.
And it's that's such a fascinating way to do it, to think about that too, because every relationship here is trying to teach us something, but the relationship to the photograph of yourself,
Mhm.
yeah, so fascinating because it can teach us a lot.
Yeah. And there is, the relationship to the picture of ourselves is not only, there are, you're absolutely right, there are a lot of elements.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, there is your relationship to yourself. Um, there is awareness that I'm being seen by the world as this, or potentially, do I want to be seen as this?
Mm-hmm.
What happens if I'm seen as this? How big of a gap is between me, what I see on the picture, and my ideal version of myself? It all comes kind of, those components, they create your self-image, uh, that then falls into your self-concept, which is even wider um, kind of picture of you. Um, so yeah, there's a lot to
A
dig
lot of
into
layers.
there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I love that. So good.
which is
So
also one of the reasons
what was the
why.
outcome of this little experiment for 7 days in meditation?
Yeah, it's so I did it 4 or 5 times last year. So we did it every 2 months in a year, I think, or 3 months. in the end, you have this beautiful tile of images that you've taken, which are all not the typical images you would see on your phone or published anywhere or seen anywhere, because it's typically 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning or 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're tired, you don't have any makeup. Sometimes you do, sometimes you're in the mood, sometimes you don't. So it's really a very raw
Mm.
portrait of the parts of you that are typically remain unseen,
Right.
unseen by yourself and by the world. And something very beautiful happens when you get exposed to those parts, because you start kind of realizing that I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm all of it.
Hmm.
And to me personally, it was a very healing experience,
Hmm.
where you were able to offer so much love to yourself, just because you see the how multifaceted your being is,
Yeah. Yes.
and how sad it is that I don't let myself just be.
Hmm.
And I'm insisting naturally on being seen as just one image or just this glossy persona most of the time. And nothing wrong with that, but as long as you're able to face uh, other sides of you and bring them all together. So that was the main, I'd say, main
Yeah.
outcome.
Yeah. So, so incredible because, it's just like the emotional side of you too. Like we accept ourselves when we're happy and joyful, but when we are in that dark night of the soul, when we are in the sadness, we feel like there's something wrong with us, but we're all of that. We're here to experience all of that. And I love that it's the view of yourself as well, like accepting, what, there's some days when you know, I like the way I look, and the other days,
Mhm.
I maybe I don't look my best, but that's all of us. That's
Mhm.
I love how you put that.
Yeah, I think it's very important work because if we look at our current culture of how valuable we think how valuable identity is,
Hmm.
and how much value we assign to the image of ourselves,
Hmm.
whether it's a physical image or whether it's your job title or the amount of money in the bank or the house you live in or the partner you have, blah blah blah. All of it seems to be so important, and and a lot of effort is invested in upkeeping of that image. So the whole life becomes in service of me trying to make sure that I have this image of myself and the world identifies me as this and
Hmm.
I identify as that. Um, it's it makes me feel exhausted even as
It
even as
does. Absolutely.
even as
Yeah.
I say that, I already feel so exhausted. I don't believe life is meant to be that.
Yeah. But that's all we know.
Yeah, I don't.
And, if back to the portraits for 7 days, if we only like the version of ourselves that are dressed to a T with makeup on and hair done, etc., we are only living out the best version of our limited self. And we're not accepting those pieces, all those pieces of us. And that is an exhausting way to live, right? It's not being the truest part of you. You've really made me think about the portraits. This is so intriguing to me. And that's why I was so attracted to you from the very beginning. Like, she has something here that is a
Yeah,
wow
thank you.
factor. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a big fan of well, spirituality in general, but I particularly love the Force way, and it's So the teacher's name is Gurdjieff. He's part Russian, I think, part Greek. So, anyways, so his teaching was about reaching enlightenment and reaching that kind of state of aware being in the world by using your attention and understanding of who you are at your core, and being always connected to yourself while interacting with the external world. But this is the reason why I'm bringing him up. He spoke a lot on identifying and how identify, it's actually a quote, identifying is the main barrier to self-remembering. So as long as I'm identifying and I'm knowing myself as this image of myself, it becomes very hard for me to remember my essence, my greatness, my core, my soul, if you will.
Yes.
Um, you know, and so that's why to me the work on images is so intriguing and interesting, because um, the goal is not to just look at image and evaluate, oh, do I look good or do I look bad? The goal is to see the image, react whichever way you want, and go beyond it,
Mm-hmm.
because that's who you are.
Right.
And you're never the image. And then your relationship with your physical images only improves over time, because you train yourself to relate to yourself based on what's beyond. So every time I'm now looking in the mirror, or at pictures of myself, whether I look objectively good or bad on them, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
It's it's a moment of time that says nothing to me about myself. Really, it says really nothing about my core, my heart, my
Right.
it's an image.
Right.
And then whether or not you then want to go and play around with different expressions of yourself in the world and have this image and that, that's all in your hands.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it's, a lot of people are afraid to lose their identities, but actually, the more detached you are, the better your physical expression becomes, because the nature of your being is such that it wants beauty, it wants the fun, the greatest joy, the abundance. It just becomes natural.
Right.
So I just know a lot of people who, when you start talking to them about like detaching yourself or being loosely attached to the way you identify, there's so much fear. Oh my God, if I lose my house, if I lose my look, if I lose my body. But but it's not, ironically, nothing bad happens.
Right.
It's actually only it's like a portal that opens you up into effortless being in the best possible expression of who you are. So, hey, work with images, everyone.
Yeah, and that's the difference in us learning that linear progression of title, more money, bigger house, better car, better body. I mean, that's the linear progression that everyone is seeking
Yeah,
when it's truly about the ascension.
exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so beautiful. So, do you have some photos that you could share with us and
Hmm.
coach through those? I would love to see.
So I can, what I was thinking would be maybe helpful. I can walk through my thinking and
Yes.
my approach to a coaching session, um, because there are several key points
Yeah.
that I walk a person through. So we'll start from that, and for that, I'll use just AI, like 3 images generated by AI, and then I'll share the way I coached myself, because I use this work. I basically sit myself in front of a Zoom screen and I record, and then I take screenshots, and then I evaluate. Um, By the way, this is going to be the first time I'm sharing it in any podcast.
Good. I love this.
Yeah, this work is going to be presented later on this month at ICF Converge, uh, but it's even more fun for me to share with a more intimate group right now,
Yes. Yes. Love
or
it.
maybe not so intimate. I don't know.
Yes.
It feels good. So why don't I let me see if I had okay. So uh, let me also do this full screen. So you can see my full screen right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So what every person working with me gets in the end of the session is a session summary card. And session summary card looks just like this. And there's going to be 3 pictures. I'll start from the first one because so there's an order in which I record, I capture certain key moments of a conversation. So typically, when you come to a coaching session or any kind of like a therapeutical intervention, let's call it intervention session, right? You bring a topic or something that bothers you, and so we start digging into, okay, tell me more. What is
Mhm.
this about? And what are you feeling when this and that happens? I call this stage duality because what I personally look for is what are 2 polarities you find yourself being in between of. For instance, for people who are working really hard, like hard workers, I really want to relax, but I can't because I need to work hard, right? Or I really want to be free, but I can't. So there's like good and bad, black and white, hard and easy, like those polarities. Being between those two creates a state of internal discomfort or conflict.
Mhm.
And so, in the moment when you are expressing yourself and sharing with me about your issue or your question, I capture you. And the reason why I do it is because this is the embodiment of that feeling by you. This is how this experience is being lived by you in your body. And so, if we say consciousness, subjective consciousness is an experience, if experience is embodied, then there is no reason for us not to photograph it. So, this is my first capture, right? So, once we identify those polarities, then I likely will lead you into how would it look like if you didn't have to choose? How
Mhm.
would it look like if you could work hard, if you really like to work, but also could relax, for instance? Or if you had all the freedom you want and wasn't afraid of being too free or being too much or being yourself, right? So the then you go into explaining to me, and let me see if I can praise. Yeah. So the next image I would take is the one that I call unity, and the unity means I know they might sound like very spiritual, but the unity of those 2 polarities. Okay, so maybe somebody else would come up with different words, but these are the words I use. So what would it look like for you to have both of those voices present at all times without really compromising? What would it look like for you to be yourself and be free, or for you to have a lot of money and not feel guilty about it? What would it look like to have a great job and have a great family, right? So, oh, you start connecting with that image and relaxing into it, and so and you start telling me, like, so telling me the story. How will you live this reality? Because you obviously have already the idea in your head. And so in that moment, I capture that expression of you. So that would be very easy if it's just kind of like, oh, now you just like, now you know how you look like, now embody one over the other. But we, of course, know that's not the case. What's I find to be the most important step is what is the reason why you're not choosing the option that is so obvious and it's right here and you already know you can embody and feel and be that. What is the nature of your attachment to living in this duality? That's like the question that I ask. And so then the person starts going typically into I can't. Maybe there is some past story, or maybe there is some bitterness, or maybe there is something that needs to be accepted. And typically, it's the the fact that there is another better option available to you, the realization that there's the option that has always been available to you, this unity consciousness has always been available to you, is typically a pretty um, painful fact to accept. Because together with that, you need to accept that all these years that I've been suffering so much in this, living in this inner conflict, I actually had another option, but I didn't see it. And so what happens in between those two, this acceptance or forgiveness and letting go, is the letting go of the old way of thinking, really. And that can happen within one session, but it can also happen as a kind of homework assignment for a person to sit and reflect with. But regardless, so what you take away is the kind of the snapshots of how what different states you can embody, because each one of these three people on the screen that we're looking at right now create different reality for himself. So and it's I look at every person as a creator, and it's very obvious and clear to me that what we see is 100% reflection of ourselves, 100% reflection.
Right.
So if I look in the mirror and I see the person on the left, that's my reality that I create from that standpoint, from that this expression is going to be expressed to me in the events that I experience. I go into the world and I experience because I'm bitter, because I'm mad, because everything is negative and blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Right.
At the same time, I know if I look in the mirror and I see the person on the very right in the unity state, that's that's my doorway. This is like my it's actually fascinating to me that uh, that's what you're gonna see, because we know that it's the perception, it's where you direct your attention and how attentive you are, that curates your experience in real life. So
Amazing.
does
So
that
fascinating.
does that make sense?
Yes. Yeah. So fascinating. Yeah.
Yeah. So so
You
I
can see the resistance in the duality,
mm-hmm,
the contraction. Yeah. And
mm-hmm,
then you see the freedom and the release and the unity.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's again, it's what it gives to us is really a choice. I,
Right.
as a coach, I can't, or as as someone, if someone is a therapist, as a therapist, you cannot make choices for the people you're working with. But you can show a choice available to you.
Hmm.
You can, and I think in this showing and turning this experience into an object, I'm able to inch you, like shift you a little closer to being more intentional about what you embody on a daily basis,
Right.
and how you work with the reflection of yourself. And it's a wonderful knowing and realization that whatever I will create in this while being in this body. And whatever I will experience from this moment onward is the reflection of me, of what I embody. So how cool it is, actually. And it's not for us
Yes.
to be sad about it. It's actually for us to celebrate the fact that we have all the great reasons to embody the best in us. And this embodiment becomes available as soon as we let go and detach and forgive that version of ourselves who lived our life, who we've identified with for so many years.
Yeah.
So um, I just want to make sure how we waste time because I do want to share one more
Yes. Yeah.
set
Yeah.
of images of
Let's take
me.
a
Yeah.
look for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So I do the same stuff with my own images. I self-coach myself. Basically how it looks like. I sit myself in front of a Zoom screen. I hit record, and then I pull the um, screenshots from the video recording
Okay.
afterwards, and I put it into kind of like a session summary card. And what I do for clients that I work with, I also put the quotes from our conversation. So, what were you saying in that moment as you were sharing? Or later, if we do a debrief or kind of like review, look at the images together, then I can add like, oh, this is the feeling of joy. This is a feeling of peace. Like there are different ways we can work around this. But anyway, so here I'm working on the duality, freedom is dangerous. And freedom is dangerous as I kind of walk myself through it. I realize it comes from my past, almost a past life growing up in Russia.
Mm-hmm.
So being free is dangerous, and so I'm discovering that I am likely to kind of not be as brave as I would like to because there's a subconscious belief that I can't, and there is no freedom without punishment, basically. If I'm
Mm-hmm.
free, therefore I'm punished. So how can I be expressive in this world without being punished? And so there is that. There's actually a lot in it. There's a safety. There is a belonging to a community. So ultimately, every time you work on with a client around this duality phase, you dig into the values because it's your values that define your mindset and your beliefs. Because I value this and this, I believe so. So what are your core values? Uh, and so my power can cost me life. So it was actually a great conversation with myself
Yeah.
that I.
That's a big fear, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Life threatening. Yeah.
And so you can see by my facial expression, there is a lot of there's a lot of fear that is being raised. Immediately, I start embodying this kind of fearful identity that is so deeply ingrained and embedded with me, plus some ancestral history, likely, that
Yeah.
adds into it, right? So you carry all of it. And so, how helpful it to see, oh my God, I call this the first set of images I call now Who Lived My Life Yesterday. So
Mm,
it's actually like, oh, this because every belief that you embody up until now, it's basically a picture of the person who lived your life up until
mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
So
Look
then,
at that.
yeah, you ask about like what the unity would look like, and there's
Hmm.
that, oh my God, I can be free, I can express myself, no one is punishing, no one is taking away my belongings, no one is, following me on the streets. Like there's all kinds of freedom and liberation. I can be free without feeling like my life is in danger. And it's immediate, physical, on every level, liberation and let go. Wow, this is what's possible. It's effortless, it's ease, it's joy, it's everything you ever wanted to be. And then you look into, okay, so why why have I been so attached to this? It's not that I don't know that the other uh, life is possible, and I have some people in my life who demonstrate to me also that it's pretty possible to live freely. And you see that, oh, I can't, it's very hard to let go of this because um, there is there is a realization that maybe I wanted to belong, even on a cultural level, on family level, on ethnical level, right, to a particular group of people who embodied this set of beliefs and values who, I mean, if I talk to my mom, she would probably tell me that, yeah, it's better stay at home and not be so free because you're safer this way, and you would choose safety over any kind of self-expression and freedom. And there's a desire to be part of that. And it's very hard to detach or, if you're so fully ingrained in this mindset, it's hard for you to say, well, I'm not gonna be there, or I'm not gonna. So, and there's several more layers that are also are quite like relate to my personal history that I needed to really let go and work through.
Right. Yeah.
Um, and so, in the acceptance is the acceptance of your way of seeing yourself. This is how I used to see myself. I accept that, and I accept that being unfree was my way of seeing myself, and how sad it is that that's what um, I've taken as my reality, and I've ran with it for so many years. Um, and so you sit with it, and this aspect is very similar to, I think it's called acceptance and commitment therapy,
Hmm.
which I know is also very quite popular right now. And I do believe that uh, I mean, I can't imagine creating change without accepting and facing the reality of who you are, what you are, and what your life has been up until now. So that's my that's my session summary card with myself.
I love this so much. I mean, just the difference in the features are incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that, obviously that's what we're here for, is to come back to self-acceptance. And the only way that that can happen is through forgiveness.
Mhm.
And we can't be held accountable for those things that we weren't aware of.
Mhm.
But gosh, this is incredible. I can't wait to see the world take on what you have created.
Mm.
It is something so unique and so different. And I'm so blessed to be witness to your greatness. Actually, I'm just in awe
Thank you.
of you. Yeah.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I am very passionate about this work.
Hmm.
That's This work is what led me to Washington, D.C., where I'm in now, pursuing a graduate degree in psychology. So, to look at self-perception and attention from the neural and brain
Hmm.
side of things, um, because I know that there is an evidence-based approach to this work too, for sure, and we can definitely see the differences in brain performance based on where how we use our attention.
Hmm.
So it would be interesting. It's interesting for me to evolve this work and like add more layers to it. But if if I could give one advice, one tip to the audience is to really start paying more attention to yourself. And by doing so, you reinforce this idea that I I create everything by the way of perceiving myself, because what I experience is a reflection of how I see myself.
Yeah, for sure.
And what I see is exactly, and vice versa. As you go through your days and you see a beautiful, I don't know, landscape, the sun is shining, take it in. That's who you are.
Hmm.
And it's not just a separate, oh, just the weather is like this, or if you have a beautiful family and you sit at the table and you share a meal together, this experience is who you are. Just put it down in your little gratitude journal or whatever practice you have, that this is what I saw today with my eyes. This is how I confirm the greatness that I am.
Mm, yeah.
And that's not to say, yes, there are moments in life that are tough, that are different. Then ask yourself, why am I not seeing myself as greatness in this moment? How does this experience of rough, tough, raw, etc., pushes me and signals me to come back to myself?
Hmm.
Because if I'm experiencing this and I believe my nature, my essence is divine and infinitely beautiful, then whatever is not that in my physical subjective experience, that's an invitation for me to come back into alignment. And basically what happens then, you walk through life as this dynamic field, you constantly feeling into, what do I see, what do I experience, what is it, am I being in my highest self power, am I seeing, what am I registering? If I'm registering like some rough events, okay, let me shift. And it's that, and it becomes fun,
Yes.
because then it's all in your eyes.
Yes. I love that. I love
Yeah.
that so much. Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, again, I'm a big fan. So, for sure. So if my audience, if there's some listeners that want to get in touch with you, what's the best way? Is it through LinkedIn or what's the best way?
Yeah, I'm open to connect, whichever way works best for the audience. LinkedIn, Instagram, I'm there too, but I guess LinkedIn more often these days. My website, dashadere.com, there's like a email, whatever form, or
Okay.
just email me at dasha@dashadere.com
Okay.
to share, connect, just.
Dasha Dare, Dasha, capital Dare, Dasha Dare.
Mhm.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
And my audience, I always share at the end, are so lovely. I always recommend that they go and just fill your inbox with thank you so much for being on this podcast. Thank you for sharing with us. And yeah, just spreading the love for
Mhm.
sure. So
Thank
thank
you.
you so much for joining us. And yeah, I look forward to many more conversations and following you. I'm going to be a girl fan. Just
Likewise, likewise. And I
yeah,
look forward to following your work and listening to your future podcasts, and also connecting with your audience.
yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
fun.
Thank you. See you
Thank
next
you.
week, everyone. Take care.